Talk about complex passwords. Try to figure out TO password when you don't have a past performance in front of you.
Trust the Profits is proud to be sponsored by Game of Silks. Go to silks.io to get in the game. Real ownership, real races, real rewards.
Sure bad coffee.
Yeah. So it's hard to compare horses when you don't have all the speed figures in front of you and all the little pace numbers and whatnot. But anyhow, we are going to try to figure out TO password, as complex as an animal as this is. Before I get into that, Game of Silks down below, Silks.io to get involved. Buy yourself a horse, get into the next round of Game of Silks. Maybe get lucky and find yourself a hot 2-year-old to get into the Derby next year. Because as you've seen in all of our spotlights, some of these horses can be pretty profitable if you get the right one. And up above, SureBetCoffee.com, use the offer code TTP20 to get 20% off your coffee purchases at SureBet Coffee. Let's go on. TO password. This is a horse that comes to us from Japan. As you can see, not a Game of Silks animal, but Game of Silks gave us a lovely graphic nonetheless. This horse has 2 starts to its name and 2 first place finishes, undefeated so far. Um, Not only is it the horse that comes into this race with the least amount of action, but it's also the one that we have the least amount of data on. How do we get our data on this horse? Well, I've got a video I will show you from the most major race that he's been through so far. And we'll take a look, break it down as best we can to figure out if this is indeed a Kentucky Derby threat or if this is an insta toss, as some have said. So we'll get into that in a second. Let's start at the top, though. Trainer Daisuke Takayanagi is the trainer. Jockey Kazushi Kimura, uh, a name that many of you probably know already. He runs often at Woodbine. He's run at Santa Anita. So this is a North American jockey, Japanese. So he's a good bridge here for TO password. So it's an interesting choice here, a fun choice actually, to get Kaz Kimura on TO password. See what he can do over here with this horse in North America. How did TO password get here? So of the 2 races he ran, he broke his maiden in the first one. It was an 82K maiden special weight. Second race he ran was really the reason he's here at Nakayama, running in the Fukuryu Stakes. This is the main race that gets you on the road, the Japanese road to the Kentucky Derby. So special program to score points in Japan to get one horse over into the Kentucky Derby. I know what you're saying. We got 2 horses from Japan. How did that happen? Well, some of you probably know already. Forever Young took the path by gaining points at the UAE Derby as opposed to going on the Japanese road to the Kentucky Derby. So that Japanese horse took a different path, scored points at UAE. This horse, TO password, scoring points on the Japanese road to the Kentucky Derby. That is why he is here. What do we know about this horse in terms of race notes? Well, I'm going to show you the video of the Fukuryu in a bit, but we do know that this horse, from what we've seen, from what you can tell of any horse in 2 races, this horse appears to be a pace setter. In the race that I looked at, he went gate to wire, did not want to acquiesce the lead at all. Fought tooth and nail the whole way. So I would expect him to more or less attempt to do the same, whether he's got the speed of a track phantom, whether he's got the speed of a fierceness, an early speed, I should say, of fierceness, or Dornock even, remains to be seen. But I have to imagine that their plan with this horse is to go by what he's done for his entire 2 race career, which is get out in front, uh, get a nice nose full of air, and hope for the best by the end. Hope that he hangs on. In terms of pedigree notes, sire Capano Ricky. Capano Ricky comes from Golden Allure. Golden Allure comes from Sunday Silence. Sunday Silence, 1989 Kentucky Derby winner. So a U.S. horse that is sired over in Japan is a big sire in Japan, actually. Sunday Silence passed down. So quite an interesting lineage there for TO password. As we talked about, pace profile, pace setter, as much as we can tell from 2 races. If he's got another tool in the toolbox, remains to be seen. I doubt he unleashes it at the Kentucky Derby, but crazier things have happened. Top speed figure? Don't know. Again, how do we compare these horses without having speed figures? Who knows? Oh my goodness, what a crazy world we live in. My projection here is that yes, he will be on the early speed. He will get out there, possibly a rabbit, possibly setting an early pace. Thinking summer is tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. Likely to fade. I would say way back. The finish for this horse I've got near the back, probably in the late teens. And yeah, this is my projection on TO Password. So let's take a look. Like I said, a lot of blanks here. So I will break it down. I know it's tough to read, but what can I do? It's the size of a past performance here. So he's running two races, both of them translated from meters work out to 9 furlongs apiece. The maiden race, like I told you, in both races, there's quite a field, right? 11 horses in the Fukurayu, 16 in his maiden. So in terms of traffic, that is a plus for Tio Password. He is used to running against um, a whole bunch of horses. Of course, doesn't really matter to him because they're all behind him. So Tio Password, yeah, broke his maiden in 16 horse race, 82K, going 9 furlongs. The Fuku Ryu Stakes, 226K. He was there was 11 horses in that race, went gate to wire there and won by a head. So I'm going to show you a clip. So it's two pieces together. The start of the Fuku Ryu, I cut out a gap, and then we're going to show you the finish so you get a feel for uh, what this horse is. So remove this, add in this. There we go. So the 10 horse here, are we at the beginning? Oh, that didn't go well. Okay, so we are at the beginning. The 10 horse here is the one you want to watch. So he's right on the outside, cruising in. That is your horse, TO Password. Yeah, Japanese cameramen like to scan the whole thing. So as you can see from the bubbles down below, TO Password, there he goes, making his way up to the front. He's got a nice little two length lead, 3 length lead in front of the 5 and the 8 horse. Keep an eye on that 4 there. There's a blue bubble in the back, the 4 horse. That is going to be also an interesting horse in this race. But as you can see, there's Tio Password comfortably in front. He's got about 1.5 length lead. Now we're cutting, so we made a cut there. So this is the second turn. Tio Password is going to come under fire here from about 3 horses who are all looking to pass. Uh, Another positive thing about Tio Password, watch this. Looks like they're about to pass, but he really cuts this corner nice and sharp, and he gets a bit of a stretch out of that there. He creates some space. Like I said, watch the 4. The 4 is about 5 horses back. Yeah, coming over the top here. So there's Tio Password out in front, sees the finish line. Here comes the 4 barreling down, deep closer, the 4 with the 2, the 4 Arari Tabashairu. It looks like Tio Password almost lost there. So he won just barely by a neck. You can see, yeah, 154.1. Keep that in mind. I will reduce this. Add this back to stage. Yeah, 154.1. I'll talk about that in a second. But what did you notice there? So yeah, he didn't have the fierceness like close. He wasn't a pace and close, pace and bullet down the stretch horse. That was a bit of a pace and fade, if you ask me. Very easily could have lost that race. And we're going to tack on another furlong here. In that type of situation, you can see all those closers we talk about, Catching Freedom, Sierra Leone, Honor Marie, just completely passing him down the stretch there if he is indeed the pace setter. That scenario could definitely set up. One more thing I want to show you there. Um, these are the times. Any horse that came after first place, I had to adjust based on the lengths off they were, but I've got all the horses in here of all the races they've run at 9 furlongs. At the very top there, Fierceness at the Florida Derby, 148.22, and then Muth underneath him, a whole second and a quarter after him. I crossed out Muth because obviously he was, you know, not targeted for the Derby after the Baffert ruling. But take a look at where Tio Password is. His time comes after even the Wither Stakes horses. It comes after the Risen Star horses. It comes after the Remsen. Um, he's got a 154, which would be the worst time of any of the winners of the 9 furlong races. So That also tells me in terms of speed figures, if we want to start comparing these by what their finishes are, he was under pressure there. It wasn't like he could just take his foot off the gas. If he needed to get a better time, he probably should have blitzed that a little bit better. But there he is with the 154.1 per what we saw. So again, going back to what I said before, what do I expect to see from Tio Password? For me, he's an insta toss. He could be on the pace if he does set the pace. If he is up on the pace at 10 furlongs, I'm sure he's great for it. But in this field, he is going to get passed by a whole slew of horses, if not the entire field. And that is my feeling on Tio Password. Let me know what you guys think. Hit us up in the comments. Love doing this. Love to see it. Have a good day.